to Stamping A to Z. I'm Linda Gibbs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, to be exact. Welcome. If it's your first time watching, welcome to watching. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're watching, let me know that you're watching. Please feel free to comment. I'd love to hear from you. The more interactive, the more fun it is to craft. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, share. The bigger we can grow, the more fun it is. So today I'm going to be using Painterly Pears. For those of you who are new, I usually do 3 cards in a live, and it can be a specific product or a technique, or it varies and it rotates, but usually I do 3 cards or 3 projects of some sort. So today I'm using the Painterly Pears suite, which is one of the new online exclusives that were released at the beginning of July. So you might have seen it out there, you might not have. Hopefully, we just had free shipping. I can't remember what days it was, but hopefully you took advantage of it while it was there. There is another sale coming up at the beginning of August for the new in colors. But yeah, so right now there's just the new online exclusives that there's lots of fun things if you're looking for something new. You can also, a lot of my techniques you can apply to things that you already have. So hopefully it just helps give you some ideas for projects that you can do. So I think there's not a lot of what's happening right now. So I'll just get you turned around. It's been a while since I've been on. I was away. So let's get started. And my hand and the, I need to figure out, ooh, I need to figure out a better way to switch this over. It's not the most smooth transition. As I get my hands and my arms and everything else in there. All right, so this is the Perfectly Pears, Painterly Pears. I can't remember what the suite. So they've tried to make it that the stamp set and the die have the same name now, but they still go different with the designer series papers. And then the suite name is usually slightly different as well. So it's still hard to keep track of. But anyways, there's pears. Let's go with that. There's this part of the suite is this beautiful old olive, mossy meadow and gold ribbon. I don't know if you can see the shine on that, but it's super pretty. It would be really good for Christmas cards as well. Not that I'm thinking about Christmas. I just know that a lot of times our winter catalog will be coming out soon, and a lot of people like to start their Christmas cards early. There are these beautiful kind of shimmery dots. They're low profile sparkle dots, and I think it's probably Mossy Meadow, Secret Sea, and Darling Duckling are the colors that are in there to go with the designer series paper, which is absolutely beautiful. I went to order some more during the free shipping, but it was out of stock. I was so sad. I was too slow. I think it's back in stock now though, so it's available. Then there's the 2-step stamp, which gives you a really nice painted look, and I'll show you today how to get the multicolor the way the pears are in the paper. There's a couple different ways you can do that, and then the dies cut out all the stamped images as usual, and then there's some extras like the flowers. There's 2 label cutouts for the sentiments. There's this cute waffle kind of piece and a branch. So lots of fun dies in this bundle. And then the paper is just gorgeous. There's no shine, like it's not a specialty paper. I guess in the foil world or the shiny kind of stuff that sometimes we have, but it's just, I think I love the colors more than anything. But you know, it's always has the more subtle side and then the busier side. You can see I've cut into this. This is just beautiful. And then there's this darker one, again with the beautiful patterns. And I really like these, the grid lines. You can make some nice, so even though it's very florally in pears, you can totally go masculine with the grids if they don't like florals. And there's those other pieces, I think. So there's the 12, this one is always nice to make your cards or scrapbooking, woo, whatever you may be working on. Did any of you take part in the scrapbooking retreat? I forgot to show you this piece. I did some of the lives, but I was away, so I had to look at the replay. But man, that was better than I expected. I know that sounds bad, but it was a lot of money for the 12-month album retreat, but I think it was totally worth it. If you break it down per month, like if you're doing a class where you do, you know, 2 layouts per month, where you're going to spend $35 per month kind of thing, that your 12 months takes you to over $350, which I think is what it was. And it's still, as far as I know, still available. I know some people were buying it during the free shipping, because then you save quite a bit of money on that. But yeah, if you haven't and you're interested in starting to scrapbook, even if you are like I've done some scrapbooking, not a lot. By no means am I a scrapbooker, I would say. But there was just so many little tricks and techniques that they showed, and kind of how to think about things, how to tell a story. So if that's on your list, I don't even know how I think, because I was thinking scrapbooking with this, and I went on a total tangent. Anyways, check it out if you have any interest in scrapbooking. And then there's this page that has all the cutouts. So it actually, not only does it cut out your stamps, but you can cut out the pears, the little pears. You can cut out the big pear. It has the leaves completely separate that you can cut out. It has these pink flowers, petal pink, that you can cut out. So, you know, I don't think the yellow ones, no, that doesn't fit. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, there's 4 cutouts for the designer series paper, which is always nice. So if you are in a hurry or mass producing, or just like the difference there, I'm going to be using both today. I've got some cut out and some we're going to stamp, and then the other side has the vines. So there's always fun. Usually there's a side, sometimes both sides. I hate it when I love both sides, because then at least there's 2 of each, but it's hard to cut into it when you don't know which side to use. All right, so for my first card, it's just a very simple card. I'm just using white, basic white cardstock. I've pre-cut my my card base with the thick white, and then this is just basic white. And I cut it out with the Textured Notes dies, which is another one of our online exclusives, I believe. I'm pretty sure it's in the online exclusives. This is our current rectangle kind of bunch, because all the other, like the stitch rectangles and stuff went away, but it really adds kind of that pretty border for you. So, you know, this is kind of plain white on plain white, and so it just kind of gives that extra little bit of detail. I'm just gonna score this. I like to score, especially when my card goes this way and when it's thick. I find it has more tendency to kind of, not crack, but doesn't fold as easily and nicely. So it's nice to have the score line to help it along. And then, so we've got our card, which opens this way. And then we've got our piece of cardstock that we're going to work on. So to start, I'm going to take some Darling Duckling, and I'm just going to put it here on my glass block. If you don't have a glass block, you can take it straight from the ink pad. I like to avoid, sometimes I mix the inks by accident. Sometimes I find just a wear and tear. I don't want to put that onto my ink pad. So I prefer, and I also prefer that I can control the amount on my brush and have less of the kind of that strong smear, sometimes that you get. So I find that's helpful. But if you don't have a glass, you could do it on one of the blocks, or you could do it on a silicone mat. There's lots of ways you can do it if you don't have a glass block per se. Now, I'm going to be covering kind of right here. So this is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to very lightly start in that way. If I do get a really, which this one is okay right now, but if you were to get a really strong go at the start, then it would be covered by what I'm putting down. So, if you're worried or you're new to blender brushing and you don't want to mess it up, that's a good way to go about it, and then you don't have to worry so much. And I kind of want the darker to lighter look anyways, so that works well. And I'm just gonna use up my color here, and then I'm gonna wipe so I don't get, oh, I had my water spray out and then I put it away. That was silly. Okay, so I've got that, and then I've got one of my pears pre-cut from the designer series paper, so I didn't stamp this one, and I should have a set of leaves as well if I can find them in my pile of stuff. So I've got the leaves and I've got the pear. I'm gonna just take my glue. I'm just gonna put a dot of glue here, very little, so it doesn't squish, but just so I can place my stem here, and I'll let that set. But I also want to put it here so I kind of know where I want to stamp. So the stamp set has like a little splat. It has two splatters actually. It has this closer one, and then it has this more kind of spread out one. I'm going to use this closer one, and I'm going to go Darling Duckling on Darling Duckling, so tone on tone. And I'm just going to kind of spread it around here. And maybe some down at the bottom here. Okay, and then I'm going to take my hello, and I'm going to stamp that. So I know I have one hello that I can see completely. Try not to get that on the pear. Do we need more than 4? I usually try to go uneven. Maybe one up here. There we go. Okay, and then I've pre-cut and pre-colored. So I basically just went onto some basic white and I blender brushed some old olive onto it so that it was already, and then I cut it out. That way it's easier and you're not trying to brush onto this kind of delicate piece. And then what you can do, since, I don't know, I feel like the branches, I feel like this should be a tree, and you know, it's pears grow on trees, right? Anyways, I felt like this should have some brown to it. So you can use your blends, you can use markers. I think I used my marker for this, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna use the brush end here and make it go a little faster. There. Then we've got our branch and our leaves. And we're gonna have, you know, the branch kind of coming down and the pear coming off of the branch, maybe somewhere like so. But so I'm gonna pop up, so you can see this is a very, very simple card. I want to glue my branch down. My goodness, my words. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of figure out where I want my pear. And then try and arrange. I forgot, I should have done my stem after the fact so that I could kind of attach it. I don't know if you can see, there's kind of like a end coming out there, and I feel like the pear should come off of that, but it might not work to do that. Let's see. Let's see if we can make maybe like that, and then it'll hang off. No, I feel like that's too. What if we go maybe down, down a little, maybe like that. Okay, so now that I kind of know where I want my branch, I'm gonna try and hold my pear there, and I'm just gonna put a bit of glue. I'm not gonna worry about putting glue on the stem, just the leaves, because they're bigger and easier. And then I'll kind of get that like that. And then I want to pop up my pear. So I'll take my dimensionals. Make it look like that's kind of attached. There we go. So we've got our pear here, and then all we have to do is you could attach it flat, especially if you're putting it through the mail, since this is already popped up. But one of the tricks you can do, if you want to pop it up, but you don't want it to be double and dimensional if it's going through the mail, you can put the dimensionals where the pear isn't, and that way when it goes through, this will get pushed down and it'll be like it's all one level. That's usually how I go about if I want it popped up, but I don't want it to be double thick. And then just line it up. Then we have to add some bling. Oops. in here. And add it. Come on. Doesn't want to let go. All right, and then we have our first card. Isn't that cute? This is like this sweet. I hadn't played with it yet, and it is just sky's the limits with all the different designs you can do, and how I love how the painted look of it. It's just super pretty. Anyways, okay, our next one is going to be a stamped one with the two little pears. So we have the outline, and we have so there's a fill for the two pears, but there's no filler for the leaves on the little one. There's a filler for the larger leaves, but not for the smaller ones. So those you have to color in yourself. So you can use blender pens, you can use your blends, you can use however you want. I'm going to stamp this with, I guess I could stamp it in green, but I stamped it in pecan pie because of the little branches. So I've got that. And then to do the pears, I'm going to take out my Darling Duckling and Old Olive. And now I picked all of these colors from the colors out of the Designer Series paper, which if you're ever stuck for color combos and what you want to do, our Designer Series paper is all done by talented artists, and they know what they're doing. And so it's so easy just to pull colors from the paper. And the paper lists the main colors on the back of it. So I've inked it up with Darling Duckling. I'm taking my green brush, coming in. Now, if you don't want to mix it by accident, again, you could do it on your, but since this is quite a bit darker than the yellow, I'm not too worried. And I'm not going in and out, and I will brush it off. And you huff on it if you've been talking like me and take a while to stamp it. And then you've got this beautiful kind of, I don't know how the distinctive stamps, I think is what they call them usually. And then you can either watercolor or blend in the leaves. So if I take my Old Olive lens here, I'll just get those leaves. That is quite the difference in dark to light, isn't it? Blend it together. And then we've got the branch. So might be better. I only have the light out. With the dark, but that works. And then, same as with the Designer Series paper, you can use the die to cut it. Oops, that's not the die. I'm on the wrong place. So, like so, and through the magic of television, I just so happen to have the pears pre-cut and ready to go. This one, I think I brushed it with a bit of water to try and smooth it out a little. I don't know if I have the which is an option as well, but it's a little more curled when you add water to the regular paper. So we've got our pears here. Set those aside because we're going to take our, so again, I used the textured notes. This is a smaller one, so it has a different frame than the last. And then I have a template that I made with the scalloped edge, and that is from the Round We Go dies. These are on the last chance part of the store. They're quite discounted. So if you don't already have them and you like the scallops, this is a really cool set. Like the things you can do with it that you're supposed to do with it, like to make rosettes and stuff, are really cool. Today I'm just going to use it for the scallops. And then I'm going to pull out. You could take this down if you don't have a grip mat. I hope Stampin' Up! Comes out with a grip mat, but for now, I'm just using it's by Waffle Flower or something. I found one. And just kind of find a place that you want it. So I like this because I don't have to tape it, and it all sticks and stays, and I don't have to worry about holding it. Call me lazy. And again, you can do it straight from the ink pad, or you can and I'm going past half because my other color is darker, so I'm not too worried about, and then it can blend easier. So this is Calypso Coral that I'm adding to it, and I'm gonna really swirl it around so I don't get that super dark line. I'd rather go slow and add my color than have it go super dark and then go, oh, now I have to make everything much darker than I had intended. And it does, even if you get the lines that sometimes happens, they usually kind of smooth out, oops, on their own with time, or become less. They're not going to completely go away, but they definitely become less with time. So here, like on my other, so my last one, I added just random color to the back. Now for this one, we're adding a specific shape as your, you could add just a piece of paper cut out, but this is a fun way to add some color, and it's not just a solid piece. You could also use designer series paper if you didn't have the colors or wanted a similar look. So we've got that, and we're just gonna layer some pieces on top of that. If I can find my pieces. All right, so I have a piece of the waffle stuff cut out in petal pink, and I've got some flowers, I think, somewhere here. I should have 3 little white flowers. They're so little, they're hard to find. 1, 2, 3. That comes from it cuts out 5 at a time. So it's nice. You can cut out a bunch of little flowers as you go. I'm going to pop my pears up on dimensionals again. And then again, kind of figure out whereabouts. For some reason I don't have, just noticed this part's not colored in. Figure out where you want, but before I stick it down, I'm gonna put this underneath. So probably about there. And I pre-cut this using the adhesive sheet, so I don't have to try and put glue on it, which I do not like putting glue on these fine die cuts. And so if you are a person who does not love glue and you avoid the detailed die cuts because of that, pick up some adhesive sheet and put it on your paper. I keep all my scraps. I have a separate envelope for my scraps, and so I keep usually a piece with some adhesive sheet on it, and that way I don't have to put it on every time, you know, like it's kind of there and ready for me, which is nice. And then I'm just going to use glue dots, which just happen to be the perfect size for these flowers. And I'm trying to bend them and curl them a little bit as I do. Like I don't want them flat. This one still has the little piece in the middle. And then you could put gems. I thought about putting some yellow gems in the center of those, but they were beautiful, but they took away from from everything else, because all you saw were these really popping daisies. So you could actually, I never even thought to do that, but I should make a card with just the daisies as the main attraction, because I think it would be really pretty. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment directly on to the card. Now, if you do not like stamping direct onto the card, you can use a stamp positioning tool. And that way, if you're worried about needing to stamp it again, you can do that. Or, you know, I always tell myself, if I make a mistake, I can always put a sentiment label on top of it, so it's not as scary when you go, because you know you have a second chance. And then I realized I made the mistake of cutting this before showing it to you. So I had a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 cardstock, and what I did was I put it in my trimmer, which I'll try and reach. And I wanted it 2 inches up and then all the way to the corner. So all I had to do, let me think about this. What did I do here? No, this way. So I lined up my edge to the 2 and then my corner here. So this would have been like this when it was all together. And then I just sliced it there, so it goes from 2 down to the corner. So I've got kind of a angled piece now, and I took a piece of designer series paper, this beautiful designer series paper, and rather than putting it on top, I'm putting it underneath because it is quite busy, but it just kind of gives it a little bit of extra pizzazz. And then you've got kind of just a little bit extra there. So in order to glue it down, I felt like the easiest was to put my glue on this top part, because then I know that it's not going to be sticking out. And I'm just going to leave the edges because it doesn't quite go to the edges. And then with the glue, I want it right down to the edge, but it has space on either side. So like so. And then it should be, there's some glue sticking out, which is good. And then you've got that. And that way, if somebody wants to stand it up, it still stands. And then again, you can just pop this up. You can pop it up or you can put it flat. I'm going to pop it up. This time just in the 4 corners. And then we try and get it evenly spaced around, and voila. And then since the yellow was taking away, so the bling that goes with, I just found was competing and I wanted it softer. So I pulled out these antique pearls, which was from, I think it was the Storybook. I think they're in the annual catalog now though. And you can color these. So if you have blends, you can color them. You need to let them dry. I think this one's, I had to use the dark and then go back with the light. The dark is quite dark, but the light was just not showing up for me. So there's 3 different sizes. There's a big, a medium, and a small, which is nice. And I'm not even gonna let it dry, and I'm just gonna kind of go over it with the lighter one, and then it just lightens it up. So the petal pink was just a little too light, I found, to pop enough as petal pink. So I added that with the Calypso Coral. You should let them dry. But for the sake of video, try not to touch it too much. And then you have your color coordinated gems. Isn't that pretty? All right, so that's card number 2. So for the last card, I'm gonna stamp the larger pear this time. And I'm gonna show you another technique for the multicolor, but also to get more of the watercolor look. Now, there are 2 ways to do this, and I will show you both ways, and you can decide which way is more comfortable, more for you. So we've got, you can start with the Darling Duckling like last time. I'm going to do the exact same thing with my brush. You could do it with a paint brush, but I like to start that way. Now, the first way you can do this is you can take your water painter and you can come directly on here and kind of paint it around. You know, get the color. Now, I would suggest, if you shouldn't have started in the green part, because then I'll get green everywhere. So I'm just going to wipe off the green, and I'm going to come back in and kind of wet my yellow and kind of pull it into the green like so. Okay, then I want to add a wee bit of petal pink in here. So I'm just going to clean my brush, and I'm just gonna pull and kind of, oops, got some, that's where you have to be careful, because then it would be better if I had the pink on here, and then I'm not. So then it's a little bit more wet and has more of that painted look. Now you still get, the way it's stamped, you still get these cracks. So you can come back in and just kind of fill it in if you don't want those kind of white spots. But it has much more of the painted look than if you just stamp it. Now the other way to do this that's a little bit more controlled, so you want to make sure you clean your stamp in between. Just cleaning all my chamois. And then I've got my yellow again. Then I'm gonna take the green and then we are going to stamp it direct to paper. So you've got all those kind of lines, but then you can take your water painter. Now, dog's home. This would be better if you had it on water paper. Oh, I got two puppies. Yes, I see you. And then you can add color as you need. So say I wanted some more yellow in here, I can come in with some yellow, but I find you are making your paper a little more wet than maybe ideal for just plain paper. Now this is very vanilla, but that's the same as basic white. So you can decide kind of, I find that doing the water directly on the stamp gives you a much more watercolored look. And this one, although pears naturally do, like they have those pits and they are a little bit more grainy. So this gives you more watercolored. This one gives you more, I would say, realistic look. But those are two ways that you can give it that more painted look if you want it more similar to. So this is a cutout from the designer series paper, and this is my stamped images. So, you know, I feel like it's closer, but here they have the more white. I filled it in. I do like this one the most though. Personal preference, right? So whatever you like, go with it. It's your art piece. And again, this can get cut out with the die, and then I did the same thing with the leaves, and with this one I didn't use the outline. So there's an outline for each of these, but I just did it plain, just like the way the designer series paper is. And through the magic of television, I just happened to have one pre-cut here, and the leaves as well. So we have that, and then let's glue this down again. That way it has time to dry, and I'm not finicky fiddling with it. Okay. Then we've got a piece of pieces. So I used the very vanilla thick cardstock for my card base. I think we still have the cardstock. I'm not sure. I forgot to look. I still had some in my stash. I rarely ever use vanilla, and I just, with this paper, when I pulled it out, I just felt like it needed vanilla. I started out, I was going to use the double pears that were cut out from the designer series paper, but I found it's too stark on here and it's too stark with here, so then that's where I decided to do my own pear. So then I have the rosette piece cut out from the roundabout dies, same as the template, and I want to put some scallops on the bottom. So I need to cut off 2 of the scallops, which is, you can use your cutter or you can just follow the line and cut it with some snips. And then I'm simply going to make sure my paper is the right way, and I'm just going to glue it to the bottom here. So all I'm going to do is put some Stampin' Seal, line it up, make sure I'm on camera. I'm horrible. I always pull it down towards me. I should put my camera lower because I do have a tendency to pull it. I'm short. What can I say? And then what I decided was I feel like it's easier to put this one down and then this one on top, because all you have to do is make sure you have a even border around it, and then you can cover as much as you need to fit the other one on. Isn't this so pretty how it all matches, like the Darling Duckling, and then I don't know if you can tell, the grid is petal pink. It's not white, which is fun. I didn't love Darling Duckling. I don't love yellows a lot. And I really liked Lemon Lolly, and I tend to use that as my go-to yellow, but I will admit with these colors, the Darling Duckling is just, it's rich. It's really nice. And then I have, I cut out a die cut of the party banners. This is one of the new sets. Are they on the online exclusive? I think, no, they're in the annual catalog. It's a huge die set that has all the letters and a gazillion banners. You can have every size banner that you could ever want, and like all the little, the whole pieces. So it's a really fun set to have. And then I wanted to use the really pretty ribbon that comes with this. So what I did was I just put some seal here, and then you can just zigzag your way. Now I didn't want a ton, so I'm just putting a wee bit hanging out the edge here. These aren't my ribbon scissors, as you can tell. Oy, those are dull. Let me grab my ribbon scissors. I need to buy new. So if you, the snips are great for cutting ribbon if you don't use them on paper. So these are from Stampin' Up! Very long ago, and these have always been exclusively ribbon and fabric only. So they have stayed sharp and they are my go-to for ribbon cutting. But I think I just need to buy a new pair of snips and dedicate them to ribbon, and they will cut fine. Anyways, and then I'm going to put some dimensionals on here again. The snips are always, that's one thing I forgot when I was putting in my my order for free shipping. I should have, maybe the snips they're back ordered all the time. They are a very popular item. That or they have a hard time I don't know why, but they always seem to be out of stock. Okay, so I've got my little banner piece, and then I'm going to pop up, should I pop them up? Maybe I won't pop them up. I'll just pop up the leaves. Got an extra doggy visitor, and I don't think she's used to me talking to the air like mine is. She's like, what the heck is this lady? She's off her rocker. Okay, and then I pre-cut, so this is one of those label pieces that the dies for this set had, and they just fit perfectly with the sentiments. If I can find my sentiment, I've got congratulations here. And I tried it with the Calypso Coral, but that was just too strong for that. This is I find it's a nice soft card. So I'm going to use the Petal Pink instead. And it goes with my banner. And then I'm going to add at least one dimensional here. I don't know if I'll need more. Maybe two. Up here. We don't want a saggy sentiment. Now I should have made sure I didn't glue down my pear too early, because now it's gonna not, I think I popped my other one up. So if you ever do a little bit of glue there, just give it some space. I don't need it to go. The other thing you can do if you can't get it in where you want it is you can trim it and make it look like it's tucked in. And voila, the finished card. So hopefully if you have some distinctive stamps that you want multicolored, you can pull them out and try these techniques that I showed you. You can use these cards as sketches to inspire you to use whatever you have, or if you are wanting to get your hands onto this suite, you can go on and you can go in the online store and go under online exclusives, and it'll be under the new stuff that's available. So those are my 3 cards for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments if you enjoyed. Please like, please share. If you're watching the replay, let me know that you're watching the replay. I'd love to hear from you. All right, have a great rest of your week. I will be here again next week. I'm not sure what it's gonna be. It's always a surprise for you and me. All right, have a great rest of your week. Bye.